they announce it, mashallah. Okay, let's pick up where we left off, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, we'll finish the lesson today, or we'll get very close. So, previously, we had been talking about li and inda. These are two ways to express possession. And we said, نقول عندي كتاب ونقول لي أخ. We talked about the differences between li, using lam al-mulkiyya, and inda. We talked about one of the differences being that we use li for people, whereas we use inda for objects. And the other thing was that we use inda for things that are on our person, and we use li for kind of pure possession, things that are yours, whether they're on your person or not. Now we're transitioning to talk about another important preposition, ma'a. Ma'a is a similar preposition to inda and li. It is often translated as with. And we'll see different examples of it that we will be doing through the reading here in the exercise. But the important point for now is that the grammar of ma'a is just like every other preposition. This is mudaf and mudaf ilayh, right? So the word after ma'a is going to have to be in the genitive case, known in Arabic as majroor, and the word will need to be declined or demonstrate that accordingly. And we're going to be talking about this, exactly what that means in just a bit, which is exciting, because everything up until now, we've learned that majroor means kasra, and marfu' means dhamma, and mansub means fatha. And it was one of those rules that, we taught you in the beginning because that was the easiest way to know, or the easiest entryway into the topic. But we're going to be exposing you to some situations today where it's not that simple. But for everything that we've learned so far, okay, the word that comes after ma'a has to be majroor, genitive case, and that genitive case in all the words that are going to be in this exercise is going to be shown by either one or two kasras, depending on what type of word it is. So let's just begin with reading this exercise. Let's go down the list here. Sheikh family, whoever's with us today, start us off with number one.
خرج حامد مع خالد.
Very good. Excellent. And let's do some translation while we're at it. What does that mean?
Hamid left with Khalid.
Very good. Excellent. What type of sentence is this?
Verbal.
Yes. Very important, right? What are the parts of a verbal sentence?
Verb, doer, and object.
Yes, fantastic. Exactly. So this is the type of kind of what we're training our brains to recognize. So if we compared Arabic to a house, it has two rooms, and each of those rooms are the different type of sentences. There's one type of sentence, which is the jumla ismiya, and the one type of sentence that is the jumla fi'liya. And each of those types of sentences, each of those rooms have different furniture, right? So they have different parts. The room of jumla ismiya has two parts, mubtada and khabar. And the grammatical position of those two parts is marfu', easy. But jumla fi'liya, is something different. It's a different room, it's got different furniture, and it's got different parts. Jumla fi'liya, this sentence that begins with a verb, it has at least two, often three parts. Fi'l, which is the verb that it starts with. Fa'il, which is the one who is doing the verb, which is, we'll talk about that. And it often, but not always, has a maf'ul, which is the object. So here we have kharaja hamid dun. Kharaja, the verb in this case, does not have any grammar because it's past tense, and past tense verbs are fixed, mabniyun. Hamid is the doer of the verb, and so the doer of the verb, the fa'il, is always marfu'. And here we do not have any maf'ul, we don't have any object. All we have is an extension onto the fa'il, someone who's also doing the verb, but it's a prepositional phrase, and so it takes the grammar of the prepositional phrase. Yes, that's where we're going. Exciting stuff. So now we're able to clearly recognize and distinguish between, okay, this is jumla ismiya, this is jumla fi'liya, and know its parts and know what is happening. Number 2 is Sister Asma. Are you there? You can use number 2.
ذهبت طبيب مع المهندس.
Yes. مع what?
مع المهندس.
Fantastic. And translate that for us.
The doctor came with the engineer.
Correct, except ذهب is go instead of came. So went. ذهب, the doctor went with the engineer. And what type of sentence and what are the parts?
جملة فعلية, the fi'l is ذهب.
Yes.
File is the dabibu.
Yes.
Is the object then, is muhandis the object then?
Not quite. The object is not necessary to every single jumla fi'liya. Here, it's not the object, it's an extension on the fa'il because the muhandis is also going, right? With the tabib. But that's enough. To just say that ذهب فعل الطبيب فاعل, that's enough for now. Very good. Good. Next, Brother Muhammad Mu'tasim, number 3.
جلس المدرس مع المدير.
Translate that for us.
The student sat with the principal, with the teacher.
Very good. Very good, except al-mudarris is the teacher, not the student.
Sorry?
Al-mudarris is the teacher, not the student.
Sorry.
But other than that, you're completely correct. جلس المدرس مع المدير. So the teacher sat with the principal. Very good.
And Jalasa is fail and Mudarris is final.
Yeah, fantastic. Good job. Excellent work. Okay, moving on to number 4, Sister Sahaf.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, so Aminatu ma'aha zawjuha.
Oh, the one before that, number 4.
Sorry. Okay. Man ma'aka ya Ali. Ma'aya zamili. Who is you with Ali?
Good. Who is with you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Ma'aya zamili. I'm with my colleague.
Yeah. Very good. Ma'i zamili. Here we would leave it ma'i instead of ma'iya.
Okay.
But that's very good. Man ma'aka ya aliyun ma'i zamili. And the origin of the sentence, if we untangle it, is zamili ma'i. But, you know, he's responding directly to the part that's being questioned. And so that's why he flips it up. Very good. And this is a jumla ismiya. Okay, so we had jumla fi'liya, jumla fi'liya, jumla fi'liya. And this one is a jumla ismiya. Zamili ma'i. Zamili is the subject, mubtada. Ma'i is the khabar about the zamir. Very good. Next, number 5, Sister Arum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Aminatu ma'aha zawjuha.
Good. What does that mean? Translate that for us.
Yeah, I'm trying. Ma'aha with. Ha is for feminine. I'm trying to break it down.
Good.
Zawjuha. Who is Amina's spouse?
Okay, you're very, very close.
Oh, no, it's not a question.
Yeah, good, good. Keep going.
It's a statement. Okay. But Amina's
अपने ज़ौज के साथ है.
Amina is with her spouse.
Yeah, very good. Excellent job. That was tricky. It's tricky because this sentence doesn't translate well into English, right? If we're to translate things literally into English, it would be Amina with her spouse,
Spouse.
right? But that doesn't make sense in English, right? But when we recognize that this is a jumla ismiya, and that it has a mubtada and a khabar, okay, then we realize that is going to be communicated in here at some point. So it essentially is saying Amina with her is her husband. Okay,
Oh.
we wouldn't say, we would say in English, Amina is with her husband. Okay, which is exactly what you said, right? But just it's interesting to see how that same sentence is rendered in Arabic. It wouldn't be translated word for word as we arrange the words in English. It would be Aminatu mubtada ma'aha zawjuha. Amina with her is her husband, or is with her. Yeah, I think that's the best way if we're trying to translate it literally, just for the relatability.
Yes,
Would be Amina ma'aha with her is her spouse. Good. Next, Brother Muhammad Tariq. If you
Yes,
Sorry, I'm
Tariq.
sorry.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no.
Can you
नहीं,
can you tell me what is the mubtada here? I mean, I didn't understand. How is ma'aha the khabar?
Let's see. So yeah, I believe that ma'aha is part of the mubtada. Aminatu ma'aha zawjuha, because the information that we're talking about Amina is that her husband is with her. And if we're going to put is anywhere in the sentence, it's going to be between ma'aha and zawjuha. Aminatu ma'aha zawjuha. What exactly ma'aha is occupying in the sentence grammatically, I'm not sure off the top of my head. So I'll need to look into that.
So it can't be that the spouse is the subject. Like it can't be. That's not possible.
Correct. Yeah, that's not possible with this sentence. Because Aminatu stands alone, right?
Yeah.
Whereas zawjuha is conditional, right? Like, so if we're to isolate either of those, right? So let's say we isolate zawjuha. That means her spouse. Is what we're saying that Aminatu ma'aha zawjuha. I see the shubha. I see the doubt.
You see, because in I mean, I know you say we shouldn't do this, but I guess I'm doing it. In English, the subject is the husband, right? Is like, does this translate to Amina's with her husband, or does it translate to Amina's husband is with her?
We have to say with her, right?
So Amina's husband is the subject.
Amina is with her, or Amina, her husband is with her. I don't know.
I know you say we shouldn't translate, but I'm just trying to comprehend how the sentence works. That's why I translated it.
No, I understand, and you're right.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I think what Sister Musarat is saying, but I think Amina is subject, and we are talking about Amina's husband. But I think we are just saying that Amina is with her husband. We are telling something. We're telling Amina is with her. Okay, I know what she's saying. It's with her husband.
Yeah, and also the thing is, in English, we ask the question to the verb, but there's no verb here for me to ask the question.
Right. That's exactly where my mind just went. If we were to ask a question here,
एक मिनट.
it would be like Amina ma'aha men, or men
Okay.
ma'aha, or men ma'aha.
Okay. So the question is, who is with Amina? And so the answer is her husband.
Right.
So then he's the mubtada. Okay, I get it. Jazakumullah khair.
Anyway, no, thanks for thinking it through, because it wasn't clear to me until I put it in a question first. Good. Excellent. So let's go back to Brother Muhammad Tariq for number 6.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Kharaja abi min al-bayti.
Very good. Can you translate that for us?
Abi means father. The father left the house.
Fantastic. And I'm going to let somebody else do this bottom line here, because that was a nice full sentence. First
Excuse
of all,
me, can I ask? Kharaja abi min al-bayti, isn't father left my house?
No, it's not. And we're going to get into why it's not in just a second. So
Okay.
abi, right, is with a possessive pronoun. Okay, so ab is father. Okay, abi is my father. Min el beiti, from the house. So we don't have any information as to whose house it is. It could be his house. It could be my house. It could be somebody else's house. We don't know from the sentence. And this is a jumla fi'liya. Kharaja is the fi'l. Abi is fa'il. Min al-bayti is a prepositional phrase that stands in place of the object, right? So this entire thing would be the maf'ul here, min al-bayti. However, it's a prepositional phrase, and so we're not going to see anything with a fatha. Good. Because we have, yes, of course, Sister Musarrat, do this last line here, which is a continuation of number 6.
من خرج معه خرج معه عمي.
Very good.
Who exited with him? I don't know, exited. who left with him?
Correct.
My uncle.
Very
left
good.
with him.
Yes, ammun with a shadda on the meme is a paternal uncle. So in Arabic, like many other languages, there's a differentiation between paternal uncles and maternal uncles. Khal is a maternal uncle, whereas am is a paternal uncle. And if you want to arrive at the paternal aunt or the maternal aunt, you simply add a ta marbuta. So ammatu is a paternal aunt, and khalatu is the maternal aunt. Very good. Excellent. Any questions about that before we proceed? Okay, good work. Okay, here's where we're going to get into something that's interesting and very important. So let me explain. In the beginning, all up until now, we've been operating under the assumption that if something is marfu', meaning it's in the grammatical case, that is what we call in English the nominative case, that it manifests or demonstrates its case with a dhamma. Okay? And if we were talking about majroor, which translates to the genitive case, we use for prepositions and things like that, we've been operating under the assumption that it will demonstrate with a kasra. And we've also been operating on under the assumption that anything that's in the accusative case, which we call in Arabic mansub, is manifested with a fatha. Here X stands for any Arabic letter. So we have dhamma, kasra, fatha. Okay. This rule holds true for most types of words, but not all of them. Not all of them. There are different types of words that demonstrate these 3 grammatical cases with different signs. Okay? So, what are these signs good for? Dhamma, kasra, fatha. They are good for 2 things, which make up the vast majority of words that you'll ever have to deal with. This applies to, let's see, where should I put it here? It makes the most sense probably up here. Singular nouns and broken plurals. Oh my Lord, what is a broken plural? We will explain very soon. I think next lesson or the lesson after, we will finally be moving from the singular to the plural. We'll be learning the different types of plurals in Arabic. And there are 2 broad categories of plural words, plural nouns, I should say. Sound plurals and broken plurals. Broken plurals are simply those plurals who apply to objects, and sound plurals apply to people. But we'll see that later. This covers most of your nouns, singular nouns and broken plurals. But there are other types of words that manifest these grammatical cases, marfu', majroor, and mansub, in different ways, not with dhamma, kasra, or fatha. We're going to learn today a group of words, a group of nouns specifically, that demonstrates these same grammatical cases, not with dhamma, kasra, fatha, but with entire letters. Waw, ya, and alif. So we see how here, in these types of words, the grammatical case is reflected by a haraka, a small vowel, sometimes called a diacritical mark. And in other types of words, it is manifested by an entire letter. And the group that we're going to focus on today is a group of 5 nouns that are notorious enough to have earned the title, the 5 nouns. So there's only 5 of them, which is good, because then they're easy to remember. This group, the 5 nouns, demonstrates its grammatical case with either a waw if it's marfu', or a ya if it's majroor, or an alif if it's mansub. The 5 nouns, they use these symbols only when they are mudaf. Okay, so that's what we're going to notice here. So it's not, when we say the 5 nouns use these symbols, it's not that they always use them. They use them if they're mudaf. And you've gotten a taste of this with the conversation when we were talking about abuka. Okay, ab is one of these 5 nouns. So we're going to demonstrate what we're talking about here with these examples. So baytun is a normal noun, right? So let's see what happens to baytun when we attach a possessive pronoun to it. Baytun, baytuka, easy. Baytuhu, baytuha, bayti. Easy, normal, that's everything that we've learned so far. However, these following 2 words here, abun, father, and akhun, brother, are 2 of the 5 nouns. So if they are not possessed, like they are not here, abun, look, this is normal, dhammatan, dhammatan. But if we add a possessive pronoun to them, all of a sudden, things are going to change. We are going to show its grammar not with a dhamma, kasra, fatha, but with a letter, waw, ya, alif. So we have instead of what would a normal noun be, abuka, right? If it were to manifest grammar like any other noun, it would be abuka. But in Arabic phonology, they determined that that is too hard to hear. And so instead of a dhamma, it becomes a waw, abuka, abuhu, instead of abuhu. Wouldn't it be difficult to hear that if someone is speaking fast, they hear abuhu? It would it's hard to say and it's hard to hear as well. So abuhu, abuha. And we know that abi is fixed because it's a little bit different. So we don't have to worry about that one. But that's the general idea. So all of these are marfu' with a waw. Abuka, abuhu, abuha. For the sake of argument, what if these 3 words were majroor? What would we have? We would have abika. Like if I said min abika. Min abihi. We change the ha to a kasra just to make it sound harmonious with the ya before it. min abiha. Okay, that's the idea. The same goes with akhun. If it's not mudaf, if it's not possessed, then we treat it just like any other noun. Akhun, akhon, akhin. However, once we add a possessive pronoun and it becomes mudaf, we now have to make it manifest its grammatical case, not with a haraka, but with a letter. Akhuka, akhuhu, akhuha. And you all would agree that to pronounce it without that would be difficult. Akhuka. Try to say that 5 times fast. Akhuka. It's hard. You're going to mix it up. Akhuhu. Even harder. Akhuha. Harder still, right? And so, alhamdulillah, we have phonetic principles in Arabic that try to make things easy to pronounce. So we have akhuka, akhuhu, akhuha. If we wanted to make this mansub, we wanted to say, let's say it was the object of a verb, I hit akhaka. Remember, I used min with the ab example, so I'm going to use now a mansub example for akh. I saw. Let's use a non-violent example instead of I hit, because in the Arabic grammar books, for some reason, everyone's always hitting each other. That's the go-to verb to demonstrate objects. But let's use I saw. I saw your brother. رأيت أخاك. I saw أخاه. I saw أخاها. Oh. So now we see that it's demonstrated not with a fatha, but with an alif. So these are 2 of the 5 nouns that operate in this way. What are the rest of them? So we have abun, akhun, we have hammun. Ham is a brother-in-law. Ha mim. We have femun, which means mouth. And finally, we have dhu, which means the possessor of. Like we say, dhul qarnayn, right? The one with 2 horns, or the possessor of 2 horns. So marfu' would be dhul qarnayn. Majroor would be dhil qarnayn. And mansub, object, would be dhal qarnayn. Now, dhu is a little bit different because it doesn't stand alone. It's not possible to use dhu without a word after it. So we're never going to have an example of dhu where it's not operating with these rules. Hamun, abun, and akhun are all exactly the same in their usage. Femun is also a little bit different. With fem, we have a couple options. If you want to make it part of the 5 nouns, if it becomes mudaf, then we remove the mim. So instead of femuka, we say fuka. That means your mouth. Min fika. From your mouth. I saw faka. I saw your mouth. However, we also have the option to use the meme, and if we use the meme, then it's treated like any other normal noun. So, for example, if you want to use the meme, then it's simply famuka, and you'll agree that that's not that difficult to pronounce. Famuka, famuhu, min famihi, etc., etc., etc. Whew. That's the 5 nouns. Any questions? Interesting. Don't worry, there's not too many more surprises when it comes to grammatical case. Once you can understand this, you understand that the default sorts of ways to demonstrate grammatical case are dhamma, kasra, fatha, and you're aware that there's a couple other ways. All that's left for you to do is learn the different types of words. We've learned most of them already, and how they demonstrate grammar. We have singular nouns, we have broken plurals, we have the 5 nouns. All we have to learn now is the dual and the sound plurals, and then you know everything that you need to know about how nouns demonstrate grammar in Arabic.
So,
Yes,
so in the position 9, the last one, like akhi, the rule don't apply to those.
correct. Anything with the ya, it doesn't apply because it's mabni, right? So we talked before about Arabic phonology, about how there's certain things that Arabic phonology considers too awkward, and so they start to delete things. So, for example, let's say that akhuha, upon that logic, it would be akhui, right? Akhui. So generally, any u sound followed by an e sound is detested, is not it's shied away from in Arabic phonology, and so they just cut off the waw entirely. Akhi, and they make this to conform with that strong yeah at the end, and that follows suit for everything else, even for if it's mansub, if it's majrur, it's always going to be akhi. Akhi is mabni. If it has this yeah that indicates my, that is mabni. It's not something that changes. Good question. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So you said if it's so doer is always marfu.
Yes.
Okay.
Always. Yep. Fa'il, the doer of the verb, is always marfu'. Just like mubtada is always marfu' and khabar is always marfu'. If you're looking for the 3 situations where you're going to find marfu', those are it. Mubtada, khabar, fa'il. So mubtada, khabar are for jumla ismiya. Fa'il is for jumla fi'liya.
Okay.
And that conforms with English grammar, well, grammar in general, because the idea of the nominative case is the subject. And even in English, we don't have these 2 different types of sentences, nounal sentence and verbal sentence. So whether we're talking about someone directly or whether we're talking about someone who's performing an action, we call them both the subject in English. In Arabic, we don't. We have the fa'il and the mubtada, which are both the subject, the English subject, right? But they're in 2 different scenarios. In one scenario, the fa'il is performing an action. In the other scenario, the mubtada, that's the main thing that we're talking about. Any other questions? Okay, let's keep going. Let's try to finish this. Reading. So we're going to apply what we've learned here with our reading. We'll start with, first on my list here is Brother Muhammad Mu'tasim, number 1.
Okay. So what do we have to do? Sorry, just read.
Just read. Yep, number 1 here.
Abi wa ummi fil baiti.
Very good. Translate that for us.
My father and my mother is in the house.
Very good. Yes. And so this is Jumla Ismiya, Mubtada Khabar. This is the Mubtada, Abi wa Ummi. Fil Bayti is the information about that Mubtada. Very good. Here it's a prepositional phrase. Excellent. Number 2, Sheikh family, can you split it? Can we have one of you do the question and the other do the response?
Aina abuka ya Hamidu.
ذهب إلى السوق.
Very good. Translate for us.
where is your father, O Hamid? He went to the market.
Excellent work. And so abuka is the what? What here? The mubtada. Abuka aina, right? Is really what it is. But since aina is the information, we're putting it forward in the question. Aina abuka ya Muhammadu. Ya Muhammad is just extra. Dhahaba, now he's the fa'il, but he's hidden away from us. Ila suqi. So here, this is actually a really good thing for us. Here's a sentence, a jumla fi'liya without a fa'il. Why don't we have a fa'il? Because it's already implied. We know that what we're talking about here is abuka. We just asked where he is. And he said, dhahaba ila suqi. Dhahaba means he went. And so it's implied in the sentence. Good. Would Aram and Muhammad, could you split the next one, number 3? One of you do the question, the other one do the response.
أخوك طبيب.
Good.
لا هو مدرس.
Fantastic. Translate for us.
مدرس. Brother.
Yeah.
Is your brother a doctor?
Yes.
No, he is a teacher.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And so akhuka is marfu' because it is the mubtada. We're asking about your brother. That's who we want to know about. What do we want to know about him? We want to know if he's a doctor or not. Maybe this is the, rishta or something. I don't know. Okay, number 4. Sahar, number 4.
So زينب في الرياض أخوها في الطائف وأبوها في المدينة المنورة.
Very good. Excellent. Translate for us if you could.
Zainab is in Riyadh, her brother is in Taif, and her father is in Medina.
Fantastic. And these are all cities in Saudi Arabia. Riyadh, the capital, obviously. Taif is next to Mecca. And Medina doesn't need any explanation. So all of these are they're all mubtada, right? So they don't, so they're all going to be marfu'a. Akhuha, that's the mubtada. Fit ta'ifi is the khabar that we're talking about him. Wa abuha, another mubtada. Fil madinati al-munawwarati. Very good. Number 5, that leaves Sister Musarrat. Can you finish us off?
هذا الطالب أبوه وزير وأخوه تاجر كبير.
Very nice. Translate for us.
This student's father is a minister and his brother is a big businessman.
Yeah, mashallah, very good. And this is an excellent example of a sentence that doesn't translate. They seem to find you today, Sister Musarrat. Sentences that don't translate. Because we would never say, this student, his father is a, right? That construction is a purely Arabic construction. هذا الطالب أبوه وزير. Sorry.
Yeah, I said the student's father.
Yes, which is how we would translate it colloquially in English. But literally in Arabic.
I should have said the father of the student.
I mean, this is the why translation is more of an art and not a science, right? Because there's not like one exclusively correct way to translate anything. And now all of you will know enough Arabic to be able to see that there's squish room, right? There's wiggle room for how we can translate certain things from one language where those devices or those styles don't exist in English. We can't literally translate this into English. هذا الطالب أبوه وزير. This student, his father, right? We wouldn't say that in English. So Sister Musarrat automatically put it into an indigenous English phraseology by saying this student's father. I mean, translation 100% correct. But in Arabic, notice that the formula is a little bit different. هذا الطالب أبوه وزير وأخوه تاجر كبير. So just little things to pay attention to. Very good. Oh, look, there's one last one. Who would like to? Let's go back to Brother Muhammad Mu'tasim, number 6. I didn't realize there was one last one hanging out there.
ذهب أخي إلى المدرسة إلى المدرسة وذهب أبي إلى الجامعة.
Very good. My only correction is madrasati. Madrasa is the school. Good. So we have 2 جملة فعلية here. ذهب فعل, أخي فاعل, which is why since أخي with the ya is mabni, we don't see any dhamma, any waw, anything like that. ذهب أخي إلى المدرسة. This is the maf'ul, the object of the preposition phrase, and so there's nothing alif. وذهب أبي إلى الجامعة. Very good. اقرأ الأسماء الآتية واضبط أواخرها. Okay, this is what they're trying to get us to pay attention to here, is the endings of proper names. Muhammadun, Khalidun, Hamidun, Abbasun, Mahmudun. These are typical masculine names, and they're masculine in 2 senses. And we're going to see this with the next list of names. They're masculine in meaning, and they're masculine linguistically, which is why they have a dhammatan on the end of it. However, there are names that can be masculine in meaning, but feminine linguistically. And this is a nice little list of some of them. Hamzatu. That's a name of a man. However, it ends with a ta marbuta, and so linguistically, the word itself is feminine. Talhatu, Usamatu, Muawiyatu, Ikramatu, or Ikrimatu, excuse me, Ikrimatu. All of these are masculine names in meaning, but they end with a ta marbuta, and so they are feminine linguistically. So there are different types of gender in the Arabic language. And I think that's easy enough to not necessarily have to go and read the rest of those. And then we just have a little brief recap of our vocab, and that's the end of the lesson. Az-zamilu is a colleague or a classmate. Az-zawju, literally a pair, also a spouse. Wahidun, one. Fata is a young man. Ma'a, with. Al-tiflu, tiflu is a young child. Could be used for a baby or a toddler. Al-Kuwaitu is obviously the country of Kuwait. And that's the end of the lesson. Congratulations. Anyone have any questions about anything? Look at what we get to do next time. Ooh, yeah.
We've finished the first book, alhamdulillah.
Is that the end of the first book? Because for me, it's
Well, it is for one edition. You know, there's the one that's got 8 parts. Then this is the first book.
MashaAllah. That's very good. Congratulations, everybody. Everybody worked very hard, and very proud of everybody, their effort, their attendance, everything. I think soon we're going to have an additional opportunity for anybody who wants something a little bit more challenging, or they want a little bit more practice, even if they just want to be a fly on the wall and listen along. So I engage in some translation work for my sheikh back in Medina, Sheikh Abdullah Shinqiti. And actually just the other week, a group of students, Western students, and from everywhere across the world, we made a group and we're trying to translate some of his voice notes into English and put them on social media. And so this is something I'll be doing anyway. And I figured we could make it a collaborative project for anybody who is interested. You all have my email. So whoever wants to be in, okay, Sister Musarrat is interested, mashallah. Anybody else who is interested, send me a message, either through the Facebook or through email. You all have my email, I believe. or any other way that you have to message me. And we can make it in, we'll find a time that's suitable and we'll make it into a collaborative project where we do a little bit of translation work. We expose ourselves to some new vocabulary and we involve ourselves in something that's a little bit more, I don't want to say Islamic, but yeah, like some more Islamic vocabulary and things like that. So that's another opportunity that's out there for you all. And great job. Thank you very much, everybody. And I will see you next time, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.